Hey YouTube, what's up? Dr. T here in St. Petersburg, Florida. A few days ago, I came across this very interesting interview with a SPACEX engineer who joined the ranks as an intern when they were just getting started. Here is the part one of three of that interview. You're looking at the sky borders on St. Pete Beach. It's quite popular for those who have got the skills.
Hi, I'm August. Welcome to the show where we explore ideas in the future. My guest today is Daniel Froelich. Daniel was the very first intern at SPACEX when the company was first starting out. He then worked his way up to be a lead structures engineer on the Dragon team. We're going to talk with Daniel today about what it's like to work at SPACEX and what he sees as the future of space exploration. Let's dig in. Daniel, it's great to have you on the show. So you were the first intern at SPACEX. How did that happen, and what was the company like at that point?
This was in December 2002, and I was studying in South Africa at the university in Johannesburg, and I had to do a internship. I call it vacation work there. And basically one of my good friends had just moved to Southern California.
Okay.
And I knew that all the aerospace industry is there, so I figured I'll come and see what I can find. And I was a completely naive 20-year-old. I thought I'll just come here and, walk from his house to Raytheon or Northrop or Boeing or Lockheed and just walk in the door.
So no appointments?
No, nothing. So I just...
Nothing scheduled?
No, so I went and firstly I realized that Irvine is very far from El Segundo, which is where
right.
Where
And
all
of course
this stuff
LA,
is.
the most spread out city.
So I couldn't really ride a bicycle to get everywhere, but then I just walked around in mainly in El Segundo.
Is that where there's a concentration of aerospace?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And I went to a recruitment center, and I think I just stumbled across a guy there who told me about this startup company.
So again, you showed up with no appointment and talking to people and hey, there's a startup company.
Yeah, I literally walked into Boeing and I said, hey, I could be an intern, and they laughed at me and they said there's a whole process that I have to go through.
But when they talked about the startup company, that was SpaceX?
Yeah. So I went there, and they said to me, you sound just like our boss. You should speak to our boss.
Oh, sir. So the South African accent, it was the
one of
the recruiters.
Yeah, one of the guys. They're not even recruiters. They didn't even have recruiters then. But like one of the guys.
You sound like our boss.
Yeah. So then he called over Elon, and Elon was like, yeah.
Oh, literally. So he called Elon over directly. Like,
yeah, and he said,
you gotta hear this guy.
We could use the help. Sure, it sounds good. So I started working there. No discussion of salary or anything like that. I was just super excited.
Show up tomorrow.
I was just excited to work at a place.
Did you start working the day you were there?
No. I think I started a few days after.
Come over in a few days.
Yeah.
And so, how big was the company? What was it like culturally there? Because nobody had heard of SpaceX at this point, even you.
No, and that's a lucky thing. There was, I think, 15 people or 16 people, and I was catching a ride every morning with with some of the guys there that ended up being the vice presidents of the company, and just catching the company Hummer in the morning to work.
Did you immediately sense there was something unique about this group of people or about this mission?
I mean, what they were trying to do is kind of like
how many people are trying to do that?
Unheard of, right? Yeah.
And from at that point, was it we want to colonize Mars, or what was the talk of the objective of the company?
I actually don't really remember too much talk about that in the beginning. I think I was working so much all the time.
We're going to make rockets and shoot them into space.
I was just cutting and stripping and crimping thousands of wires every day and setting up...
you're like working on electronics.
Setting up tables and coffee machines and
everything.
Like building the test stand for one of the rocket motors in the early days.
Mm-hmm. And so you were there for a few months for the internship, I presume?
I was there for 6 weeks. My internship was 6 weeks, yeah.
And then... what happened after that?
So, at the end of the internship,
because you had a long career there, so how did the internship turn into?
Yeah, so I had 2 more years to finish up my university in South Africa, and I was lucky enough to get offered by Elon a sponsorship to study at USC.
So you said, I'm going to make the school thing happen at USC.
Yeah, I think a couple of the guys that were working there at the time, or one guy in particular that I'm thinking of, was studying at USC or just finished from USC, and then Elon, I guess he was feeling charitable, and he said,
well,
he said,
maybe he saw something in you. I don't know.
Yeah, so he said, come and finish off at USC and then come work here when you're done. And that was obviously an amazing offer that I couldn't refuse.
Fantastic.
Although at the time I didn't really know who he was, and no one really knew who he was. So
it was before Elon was Elon, right?
Yeah, so I told my mom about this, and she was like,
yeah,
who's this guy? I've never heard of him. I don't know if he can really afford it.
Right. Did she do some digging?
She did.
For real?
Of course, yeah, she did. And then
you passed the test.
And then she was reassured. Yeah, he can afford.
He passed the mom test.
Yeah, he passed my mom test.
So how did you end up back then at SpaceX?
So I finished off my third year and fourth year studying aerospace engineering at USC, and then after that I tried to find a job in the industry, but I wasn't able to because to get a job in the aerospace industry you need to be a US resident at least.
Okay.
If not a citizen.
Was that a problem going? You didn't go directly back to SpaceX because of that?
Exactly.
Okay.
So I tried and I wasn't able to. It was a catch-22 situation.
Guys, you already know each other. What's the problem?
Yeah. You see, it's a catch-22 situation because you got to have a green card to work there.
Right.
And you got to. You can be sponsored for a green card, but you need to be working in order to get sponsored.
Okay.
So it's really impossible to get in there. So I had to.
Right.
I tried, it wasn't able to. I wanted to continue my studies anyway, so I went and did 2 more years, do my master's in astronautical at USC.
Okay, so then you went back.
Yeah, and then after that I tried.
Which only makes you more viable for these kinds of positions.
Yeah, I mean.
So you were building still in that very clear direction.
Yeah. In terms of being more viable for that position, I learned a lot, but at the same time, I imagine if I had 2 more years working there in the early days, I probably it's a tough one, you know. But I wasn't able to, so I did two
but you
more
found your way
years.
back.
Yeah.
So presumably you got a green card, and then
I found another company that sponsored me for a green card.
So you got that taken care of. Then you're back at SpaceX, and now what happens when you're back at SpaceX? First of all, how has the company changed in the few years since you've been there?
Wow.
So if you enjoyed that, then stick around, and part 2 will be coming up shortly.